Assalamu alaikum. This podcast has been brought to you by Seeker's Guidance, the Global Islamic Seminary. Help us spread the light of prophetic guidance to millions around the world by becoming a monthly supporter. Make a small donation at seekersguidance.org/donate. As little as $10 a month can help people find life-changing guidance.
From the very beginning, from the very start, join the series, be part of this class, receive knowledge, not from me, but knowledge that is conveyed by our teacher Shaykh Habib Umar, one of the great scholars and saints of our time, with an open heart, and develop an appreciation for tasawwuf, develop an appreciation for Sufism. Come to learn what the qualities of the Sufiya or the Sufis are, and come to understand, and this is one of the very early lessons in the book, how their way is a way that is based upon the book of Allah and of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I thus ask you, if you by any chance, any of our listeners, any of our brothers, any of our sisters, if you have any questions in your heart regarding Sufism, or if you have any criticism in your heart regarding Sufism, hold on to those questions, hold on to those criticisms, hold on to those doubts. Journey through this amazing work, this amazing book, despite its short size, in terms of the pages, not in terms of the content. Sufism, its essence and the traits of its people. The book was published by our publishing house here in Cape Town, Darut Turath Al-Islami, DTI, and was translated into English by another lecturer of the Seekers Guidance Academy, our good brother, friend and colleague, Ustaz Amjad Tawsin. The book is available for sale for those who are interested, or for those who are eager in following this class, inshallah ta'ala, with a hard copy in hand. What I'd like to do for a start is to speak about the author and why the majority of scholars in the world today, leading ulama of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, why they would all agree that that person that is perhaps most entitled to write on this topic and to describe the essence of Sufism and to speak of the qualities and the traits of the people of the Sufiya, why most of the scholars would agree today that Shaykh Habib Umar is perhaps the best person alive to speak on this topic. And the origin of this book was a paper that Shaykh Habib Umar presented in front of a large number of leading scholars around the globe, and they all agreed with its content and praised the author for this amazing contribution. So why is Habib Umar this person that everyone believes is perhaps the best person to be writing on the topic? Because Sufism or Tasawwuf is about character, it's about a lifestyle, it's about following the way of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Sayyid Habib Umar, from a very, very young age, all he knew is Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Many of us would know that Sayyid Habib Umar, as a young boy, at the age of 9, his father was abducted by communists. First of all, that first 9 years of his life, he benefited tremendously from his father, Habib Muhammad bin Salim, who was the Mufti of Tarim, one of the leading and greatest scholars within the city of Tarim, an individual that was respected throughout the world, an individual that had nothing of this dunya and had no attachment to this dunya. I'd like to encourage our brothers and sisters, on the Seekers Guidance YouTube page, there's an amazing biography of Habib Muhammad bin Salim, Habib Umar's father, as well as Habib Umar, by Habib Umar's son, our good friend and colleague and even teacher, Sayyid Al-Habib Salim bin Umar bin Muhammad bin Salim bin Ḥafīẓ, titled The Epitome of Love. The Epitome of Love, the very first part of it is a biography of Habib Umar, and if you wish to hear and learn about the life of this amazing individual in more detail, I strongly encourage you to go and view that episode and hear his life in detail. In short, Sayyid Habib Umar benefited from his father up until the age of 9. And we know that South Yemen, Hadramaut, was under the rule of communists at the time, which means that Muslims were not allowed to practice their religion openly. And when they were allowed, it was in a very narrow sense. They were allowed to attend the Jumu'ah prayer, People were too afraid to attend classes of knowledge. They were too afraid to host gatherings of dhikr or mawlid. They were too afraid to attend a Quran recitation class. Things were very bad. And one of the people that was calling to Allah and calling to the way of Allah and conducting classes and hosting programs and gathering, despite the fact that he knew he ran a risk of losing his life, was Habib Umar's father, Muhammad bin Salim bin Ḥafīẓ. And eventually, because he was required every morning to sign at the police station, and in the evening again he had to sign at the police station such that they could keep track of his whereabouts and his doings. One Friday morning on his way to the Jum'ah prayer, he took Sayyid Habib Umar and placed him in the Jamia of Tarim. Was not normally the main masjid where people would gather to pray. Salatul Jum'ah would be the Jamia of Tarim, next to the Ribat of Tarim. However, that masjid was not being used at the time, and Jum'ah Salah was being performed in the Jamia of Umar al-Mihdar. Many would know the Jamia of Umar al-Mihdar because it's the highest or tallest mad minarat in all of in the world. A really beautiful masjid, and I pray for our brothers and sisters that Allah afford you an opportunity to visit the Jamia Umar al-Mihdar. He placed Habib Umar at one of the pillars over there and left his shawl such that he was booking his place in the Jumu'ah masjid, and then went to go and sign. And that was the last time that Habib Umar saw his father. And it's very important just to think about a young man sitting in a masjid, being placed there by his father at the age of 9, awaiting his father to arrive, until eventually the khatib entered the masjid, climbed the mimbar, the stairs of the mimbar, began his talk, and said Habib Umar was looking to his right, looking to his left, looking behind him, wondering, when is my father coming, when is my father coming? And some of us may have experienced that type of worry and concern, and as the lecture goes on, Habib Umar's concern and worry is increasing. And fortunately for many of us, after 10 or 30 minutes of worrying, we see my father or I see my mother, and that worry disappears. But for the young Habib Umar at the age of 9, that worry did not disappear. The khutbah ended, the Salatul Jumu'ah started, and he was looking for his father. Salatul Jumu'ah ended, his father wasn't there. He remained seated in the masjid waiting for his father to arrive until people started leaving the masjid, and they knew that he was waiting on his father. And then he began asking people, where's my father, where's my father? And everyone was too afraid to speak to him. Everyone was too afraid to become involved in his worry and concern, fearing that they may be held accountable by the authorities, the communist rule of government at that time. And eventually one man came to support Habib Umar and took him by the hand, and they went to the police office inquiring where's Habib Umar's father, and they just chased him away and said, we don't know anything about your father, get away from us. So he had to go home to his mother at that time, and his sisters. His elder brother was not present in Tarim at that time, his elder brother was in Daw'an, and he had to give the news to them that our father today, he went to go and sign, he left me in the masjid and he has not returned. And what happened, of course, was that they took his father, imprisoned him, actually killed him. Why? Because of his determination in calling people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And thus he لا يخافون في الله لومة لائم. They feared no one in the path of calling to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even if they had to meet death. And that's what happened to Habib Umar's father. After the passing of his father, Habib Umar became very attached to one of the great awliya of this Ummah, Habib Muhammad bin Alawi bin Shihab. And you may see photos of him online if you were to search the name Habib Muhammad bin Alawi bin Shihab. And he became the spiritual father of Habib Umar, and also like a father to him. Habib attended his classes, read books with him, studied knowledge with him until the age of 18. And I'm cutting a long story very short here. Habib Umar was forced to leave Tarim. Many of the seniors became active in calling people to Allah, as how his father, not fearing government, not fearing the communist rule, and teaching and calling to Allah as how his father did, until many of the seniors advised him that, Umar, we advise you to leave Tarim because there's already talk that government wants to have you killed as how your father has been killed. And upon the insistence of the senior scholars of Tarim, Habib Umar eventually made Adan, and from Adan he traveled to Bayda with an intention of meeting his, who eventually became his father-in-law, Habib Muhammad bin Abdullah al-Haddar. When arriving in Bayda, Habib Muhammad wasn't there, so he traveled to city, benefited from Habib Ibrahim bin Aqil, and like this he benefited from us, and eventually after settling in different parts of Yemen as Oman, in Salalah, Habib Umar came when he returned to Tarim, and he established the Darul Mustafa Institute that is visited by many great scholars and students from around a city that I don't know if one would be able to find a similar city in the world, one that resembles Al-Madinah Al-Munawwarah in the time of a city that is known as the city of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq on account of prayer Sayyidina Abu Bakr to that city, a city that is filled with ulama, a city that is filled with pious, with sulaha, with salihin, with awliya, a city where the deen of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is alive, a city where all you see is good and khair. May Allah continue living the city of Tarim, and may it be a beacon of light for you and I in these times of difficulty. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. All of this for you and I to understand that the
Thank you for listening. This podcast was brought to you by Seeker's Guidance, the Global Islamic Seminary. Visit seekersguidance.org to access reliable Islamic knowledge taught by qualified teachers. We offer a wide range of courses, podcasts, articles, and a world-class answer service. Support us in spreading free, reliable Islamic knowledge to millions around the world by becoming a monthly supporter. Visit seekersguidance.org/donate and make a small monthly commitment today. Our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Whoever guides someone to goodness will have a similar reward." So don't forget to share this podcast and spread prophetic guidance.